Alright, let's continue on with the static meshing process. Our level is getting more interesting by the second. What I want to do is put a door over here into this smallish wall over here. Now this door is not going to be functional. The character is never going to walk through it. It's just something to suggest to the player that they could have got into this environment from somewhere, rather than just magically appearing in this cramped little room, which technically is what just happened. So, let's go into the content browser, and I'll show you exactly the doors that I have in mind. We're going to search for blast doors, one word. And let's make sure we narrow this down to just static meshes, and here they are. Now, really quickly, I'm just going to drag and drop these into the level. It doesn't really matter where they go. And let's close the content browser. Now I'm going to select both of them by holding down Control and just making sure I click on each one and slide them up into the air. Now, I want these doors to be just a little bit taller than they are right now. So I'm going to take my Draw Scale 3D Z, which is the fourth and final field in our draw scale down at the bottom in the console bar, set that to 1.125. Press Enter, and then you see the doors get just a little bit taller. It also means that this turn wheel is a little bit skewed, so I'm just going to count on nobody really noticing that. Now, let's slide these doors so that they kind of mesh up a little bit better than they do, which would probably be a lot quicker if I used another viewport. So let's de-maximize the perspective view, and I'm just going to line these guys up right here in the top view, because that'll be faster and easier. And are we close? We gotta be close. There we go. Yes, they look great. So let's grab the pair of these, and we're going to line them up with the front of our level. And that looks... it's pretty close, but it's not quite centered. It looks like I actually need to lower my drag grid settings because we're not quite getting where I want to go. So let's bring this from 8 down to 4. And there we go. So I'm basing that off of the central door in between our levels. So I'm just making sure that we're kind of straddling either side of that. And I'll drag this down and place it right on the floor. And then we'll just push it back so that it goes into the wall. Now we won't worry too much about how far into the wall it's going just yet. We may have to adjust that a little bit later. What I'd like to do now is add some interesting details to this wall. So we're going to do more than just have this door here. We're going to cover this up with a whole bunch of static meshes just for effect. So here's the first static mesh that I have in mind. Let's grab, actually here, what I want you to search for is low profile, one word, and then you'll see low profile extra, so you could just type extra. And you'll see the one I have in mind is this little kind of box object. Let's just drag this and place it right here on the wall. Now, it kind of popped through the wall, so let's pull that into view. And it's really tiny. Now, if I rotate this guy around, just tap the spacebar to grab the rotation widget, and I'm just going to rotate him around 180 degrees. Actually, let me rotate him the other way. This is better. And we'll just clean those rotations up here in the orthographic views. There we go. Now, this guy is really, really small, so let's make him not just a little bit bigger, but a lot bigger. I'm going to come down to my draw scale settings, and we're going to set our overall draw scale to 4, which will make him 4 times bigger than he was a second ago. So as we pull back, you see the change that makes. And then we're going to change some other things as well. We're going to take his overall height and set that to 1.175. So it just makes him a little bit taller. Now, I'm going to get this positioned into the wall. Just slide it back a little bit. And you see this line here inside my view? I'm just going to kind of line that up with the edge of the door. Now, I'm still using a drag grid, snap grid of 4, so in case you're curious about that. So there's one of those positioned in. Now I'm going to hold down Alt and just drag out another one. And you see that lines up pretty well against the corner of our wall. Now those are right down on the ground. So let's grab these two, and we're going to duplicate them up. So here's a great view here from the front of our level. Let's just hold down Alt, and I'll drag these guys up, and we'll just let those bolts kind of cross over each other. And we'll drag those up again. That's pretty close to the top. Now, let's make copies of these all over. So I'm holding down Control and clicking on each one. Now, I'm just going to hold down Alt and slide all of these guys over to the opposite side. push that up just a tiny little bit. And there we go. So now we got these cool bars that are helping kind of hold everything together. Now, I'm going to add some panels to this upper area to make this look a little bit more interesting as well. And again, I have a static mesh that I'm going to give you. Now, just as a reminder, I know I've said this a few times now, these are all just suggestions. You can really put this level together however you want to. So I want you to grab SHU, trim, SM, low profile E long. Close out the content browser. I'm going to right click here on the wall this time just to mix things up. We're going to go to add actor and go all the way to the top and choose add static mesh. Just to show you another way to do this. Okay, so now I have some scale settings for this guy too. What we're going to do is take his X scale, which is actually the second field over, and we're going to set this to 1.175. And all that's going to do is just make him a little bit stretched out so that he nicely fits half of the width of the wall. Okay, now we're looking at the back of this mesh right now, which is not that good. So let's tap the spacebar to grab the rotation widget, and we'll rotate this guy around. And let's kind of clean that rotation up here in the top viewport. And I'm going to tap the spacebar to grab the move widget, translation widget, and we'll just kind of line this guy up with the center of the room. And then here in perspective, I'm going to drag him right against the underside of the ceiling. Now, holding down Alt, I'm going to just make some duplicates of this guy. So there's one. And then here's two. Let's see if we can fit a third one in there. Yeah. Now, I'm going to grab all four of these together, hold down Alt, and slide them over. And then just to make things a little more interesting, we're going to take that X scale, and I'm going to set it to negative. Now what that just did is that flipped the objects over. So as I slide them back into view here, it looks like, oh, check it out, I made them -11. So let's make sure they're just -1. So now that just flipped them over. It kind of reversed them. So we get kind of a mirror effect. And now we got some steel paneling all along that wall. So literally, we've covered the wall with static meshes, but that's just going to make things look a little bit more visually interesting. So here we have a door. We've made our wall a lot more interesting by covering it with static meshes. If you want to go any even further with this, by all means, go ahead. If you want to add different meshes kind of clinging to the sides of this, or really anything you want to do, now would be a good time to get it done. Once you're finished, go ahead and save your level, and then we will move forward.